love that I've been given needs to be given back. Like, that's it. That's what it's about. Helping, giving back, and caring for others. And so, thank you, and I love you. That's why I'm here.
Hey everyone, it's Peter here, and today we're going to go over some basic staff flow here on the beach in White Rock, British Columbia. Coming at you right now. Awesome. So everything we just saw is actually a combination of a couple fundamental moves, and I thought we'd go over those real quick today just to show how easy and accessible staff training can be and how great it is for things like spine mobility, shoulder mobility, and great cardio too. So the first move we're going to chat about today in our series, last time we went over the skip catch, and just a reminder, our skip catch looks like this, skip catch. And last time we also went over the infinity sign or the figure 8. So those are the two movements we're going to be building off of today. If you haven't seen our last video, the link will be in the description. So on top of those two movements, today we want to add in our overhand, underhand rotating swing. So I like to call this the Darth Maul because the move is the same move that Darth Maul uses in Star Wars. And it's a really cool infinity symbol we do around our body. It's quite similar to our figure 8 that we've done with one hand, except this one takes a little bit more coordination in some ways, less in others, but it is a two-hand movement. So in order to do our movement, we want to grab our staff, one hand overhand, one hand underhand, and just a little bit off of center on each side. Now to start the movement, I'm going to pull my left arm towards me, push my right arm away from myself, and start to create this figure 8 movement. Now it's kind of hard to describe, but very intuitive once you grab a stick and do it for yourself, grabbing it overhand and otherhand. The magic in this movement is your arms are actually crossing and uncrossing. As you see, uncrossed, crossed, uncrossed, crossed. And it's the mechanics of the arm movement and a loose grip on the staff. If I'm grabbing the staff too tightly, it's going to be really hard to do it. If I grab the staff loosely, it's a lot easier to find that center point and get that infinity spin going. So we'll practice that going one direction. At home, I recommend about a minute, 30 seconds to a minute, just learning and mapping the new pathway and the new motion. Now what we do one way, we can also learn to do the other way. So as we just started doing our Darth Maul in kind of a sweeping downward motion, we can also learn to do the sweeping upward motion, which is amazing for the hips, back, and general mobility and wellness. And so both variations of this infinity spin are a lot of fun, great for cardio, and they give the illusion of a force field kind of around us that we can generate with the staff. So it's a lot of fun, and it's great mobility too. So I'll recommend doing each side for 30 seconds to a minute, and then as well, to complicate things, switch which side you're holding over and underhand. So we kind of want to train 4 different points of rotation, training it overhand, underhand, then switching hands and training the same thing, overhand and underhand. And just spending some time understanding where the stick is in the rotation makes everything start to make sense. And if we hit our heads a couple times, awesome. Part of the process, just keep spinning. Awesome. So in total, if you choose to do this warm-up, it would take about 4 minutes to do fully, 1 minute with each variation of the grip. And if you choose to incorporate this, I think you'll find excellent, personally I found excellent benefit, especially to the shoulder blades. Really helps to kind of get that extra mobility and ease up those cramp muscles too. So our first movement of today, once more, was our overhand, underhand, rotating spin. Awesome. So, on top of our overhand, underhand, the other thing we wanted to cover today was how to get a little bit tricky with it, how to add some cool flair to your staff flow. So the couple motions I want to show you are quite simple, but done effectively, look amazing. And that's going to be the ability to hand the staff to ourselves behind our back and end up back where we started. And we want to be able to do that on both sides of our body, and it's going to be easier on one, harder on the other. See, part of the process is dropping the stick and getting good at picking it back up. But so what we want to do is start to learn about the plane of motion behind ourselves, because there's certain planes around us. If I spin the stick on my side plane, it's not going to hit my head. If I spin the stick in my front plane, it's not going to hit my head. And it's the same idea of spinning the stick behind us, but it's just starting to understand where that back plane is so that we can freely spin without worrying about hitting our shoulders or our back. And it is part of the process. There will be lots of drop sticks and that sort of issue, but every time we drop the stick, we can just get better at picking it up too. Have some fun with it. Have some fun with it. So, in order to spin behind our back, and it's going to be the same idea behind our head as well. So if we learn one transition, we actually learn two. And it's something that we can do to really add some flair to our staff flow. So in order to spin behind us, what we want to do is when we pass the staff behind ourselves, we want to grab it, pass it to our hand, and rotate through our wrist as we bring it up back to center. So once more, we want to pass the staff to ourselves behind our back, rotating our wrist as much as we can before we let go, and then grabbing it and allowing our wrist to rotate more through the motion. Now, the more weight we can put on our thumb and forefinger when we hold this, the more rotations we can make it look like the staff is doing, and it just gives this illusion of seamless rotation, and it looks like the staff is spinning more times than it is as well, which gives a neat effect. So once more, with behind us, we come into it. Let's say we're coming out of a rotation, a skip catch. We grab the staff between our finger and thumb. We pass it to our other hand at the most point of rotation, at which point we can bring it back up, making sure it's securely between our thumb and forefinger. Because that thumb and forefinger, like we talked about last time, is the key to staff spinning. Pretty much everything we do is with our thumb and forefinger. And like we were saying too, to keep the grip a little bit looser, to allow the staff to flow more freely through our hands. Really just focusing on that thumb and forefinger points of contact. So, to tie a couple of those things together in a quick little flow, just to show you what these moves can look like, because the other thing about staff flow is every motion might be like a letter of an alphabet, but then it's up to us to get creative and tie these letters together to create words, sentences, and stories. So with the staff, it's interesting. It takes a while to get used to knowing when to transition between different moves, which moves can kind of be synergistic with each other, and which ones maybe aren't going to be the best together. So today I'll show you how to tie together what we've learned in a seamless flow so it can look really, really cool when you're practicing this at home. So we'll start our basic flow with our over, underhand, infinity spin. At which point, when we come to the front of us, we can incorporate a skip catch like from last time, which can allow us to transition to another skip catch, which can bring us behind our back into our over underhand. So from last lesson, the skip catch is a very important movement because, as you can see, you can use it on so many different planes around the body and to transition for your behind the backs, for your striking sweeps, and everything in between. So with just a few simple moves and starting to understand where the stick is at every point in rotation, and just getting some practice in and starting to really feel and play with it, you can have a lot of fun, have a great forearm workout, and look pretty cool at the same time. So, it does give quite an appealing effect. So this is going to be a skip catch on one side of the body, which we're going to be able to seamlessly rotate to a skip catch on the other side of the body. So it's going to play off a couple of the skills we've already learned, and it's really going to be fundamental about how well we control the staff between our thumb and forefinger. So for this motion, we're going to do our skip catch on the left plane of our body. We'll do the skip catch on the left plane of our body, at which point, just by grabbing it where we're at, we can rotate our wrist, which will swing the staff in a upward swing, at which point we can be over on the right plane of our body. From here, we can do the same skill, our skip catch, at which point catching it with our left hand, big sweeping strike away from our body, we're now on another plane that we can continue the motion. Skip, catch, uppercut. Skip, catch, uppercut. Skip, catch, uppercut. This is a great skill to learn because it really does help to understand the planes of movement around our body and help to develop that extra sort of awareness. Skip, catch, up. Skip, catch, up. Skip, catch, up. As well, we can start adding in some forward movement. If you want to do this motion while walking, it's another excellent way of adding another level of difficulty, because then you're actually engaging in forward motion. You have to start to understand where the staff is on the side in front of us. Or the same thing, try walking backwards. See what that feels like in a more defensive stance. Skip, catch, up. Skip, catch, up. And it really does give a very hypnotic kind of feel that we can combine so well with our over-under infinity circle, our figure eights, or any other of the skills that we've developed or will continue to develop. So, right. So the next skills we're going to learn how to mesh together are basic striking patterns. And with the staff, there's 4 planes of motion we can travel. Striking, drawing a square in the space in front of us. Now this is grabbing the staff in our same under overhand grip that we were doing to explore our two-handed infinity spin, and holding it the same. We want to visualize a square that we're drawing with the end of the staff in front of us. And what we want to do is picture that square and see how you can mechanically move your hands and the staff in that pattern. It's quite hard to give cues for what the pattern is, but hold the staff under overhand, picture the square in front of you, and it'll come very quickly. It's a very intuitive set of movements. There's only really one way that you can keep striking forward. Now this skill can be used in combination with our infinity spin to give a cool strike effect, or in a combat situation would allow us to actually be offensive instead of defensive. Most of what we're going over is defensive in nature, but the strikes are offensive in nature. So once again, picture in front of you that you're drawing a big square in the space with alternating ends of your staff. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then back into our infinity flow. Awesome. Now, we do want to practice the pattern both ways. So if I'm going over, under, this is my most comfortable way, but it's always good to train the other. The brain doesn't like it at first, but it's a really good way to ensure even development across the body and in the mind too. It helps to challenge us. Little things we can do too: brush our teeth with the opposite hand. Really good ways to challenge the brain and keep us learning. So, underhand, overhand. I'm gonna do the same pattern, but it's gonna be a little bit different. And so I'm gonna start to understand this side of my body. Bringing the staff to my shoulders. In that big square pattern in front of me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then going into my infinity. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And infinity. And if you can get used to doing this for a couple minutes as well each morning, it's amazing for the back, the spine, the shoulders. And it feels great to be a Kung Fu warrior, let's be honest. One, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent. So another thing is, undoubtedly in our staff practice, we're gonna drop the staff. Now we can kick it up to ourselves with feet, we can have other creative ways of picking it up, but one of my favorite ways for staff recovery is in a cartwheel. So if you're unfamiliar with a cartwheel, we'll explore that in a separate video. But if you are aware of what a cartwheel is and how to do it, I can show you a fun way of staff recovery. So it's good to just warm up our cartwheel a couple times. I want to, with my left hand, I'll go over my staff. Right hand comes down on the other side. I'm able to do a cartwheel over my staff. Now, for the one-hand cartwheel recovery, it's pretty much trusting your cartwheel, and then instead of putting my right hand down to support myself, I'm just gonna grab the staff with that hand. So that's going to look like that. And then you can add in your flow, spin, and make it look neat. So when you do drop the staff, you have a fun way to pick it up. I'll go over that one more time. On the other side of my body, it's my weak side, but you know what? It's good to train both sides. So I'm gonna go over with my right hand, warm up cartwheel, and left hand on the other side. See, I'm not as good on this side, but we gotta train the weakness. So, right hand comes down, pick up, and I'm able to go into my flow. So that's a little look at the one-hand recovery, because we are gonna drop the staff. Truthfully, that's become one of my favorite sounds, is hearing it hit the ground, because it means we just learned something new. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for spending some time with us here on the beach, learning about staff flow. All right, everyone, take care. All right, guys. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day.